Yo guys, how's it going? Otaku Ops here. I hope everyone's doing fantastic. Today I'm going to look at another classic, which is King's Bounty. And I don't mean the kind of newer ones, I mean the original one in 1990. So it's interesting that it was designed by John von Caneghem, and that guy is actually kind of the grandfather of, series like Might and Magic later on, and Heroes of Might and Magic, of course. After a while, he seems to kind of disappear off the radar, but yeah, it's undeniable that he still contributed a lot to the genre. So today I'm gonna look at the interface of the game, and we're gonna try to play it and see how it goes. Personally, I never beat the game. I think the objective is to find the Holy Grail, which I'll explain a bit later. But anyway, let's have a look at the interface. So you play using the keyboard, and so you have a choice of 4 characters: the Knight, the Paladin, the Barbarian, and the Mage. There are slight differences between them. For example, the Mage starts with magic enabled already, so you can cast spells, etc. But the Knight has very high leadership, which you need to hire more troops. The Paladin, I think, is kind of a mixture of the Knight and the Sorceress. He has relatively high leadership at the start, and he can also learn to cast spells. Whereas the Barbarian and the Knight, I'm not sure they can. I think the Barbarian can't use spells at all. Anyway, we're gonna pick the Knight because it's a safe name. The name would be, let's say, Otaku. Okay, let's go with that. So with the difficulty, as you can see here on the screen, the score, we don't have to worry about that at all, because who cares about high score? This is such a 80s thing. But the number of days, though, is very important, because like I said, I never beat the game, so I have no idea how to beat it in, let's say, 200 days. I don't think it's realistic unless you're some kind of super master at the game. So we're gonna pick easy. We're gonna get the maximum number of days. Okay, so when you start the game, this is gonna be the first screen. As you can see, our main character is in the middle with riding the horse and the red flag. Looks very blue for some reason, not sure why. But anyway, let's just go over the screen very quickly, and I'll explain here what we're watching. So in that right-hand corner, there is a kind of menu bar, if you want, and the first one is actually the contract. So you have to catch some bad guys in the game, and when you get the contract, I'll show you where you do that later. It's gonna appear in that window. So right now it's blacked out. The second one is a siege engine, which again, I'll show you where to get it in a moment. Right now we don't have one, so it's blacked out. And the third one, that star thing, is actually spells. Right now magic is not enabled for us, remember, we're playing as a knight. Obviously, if you play with a sorceress, the magic would be enabled. And the magic actually costs 5,000 gold to enable. So you have to kind of take that into consideration. Like, do you want to spend 5,000? It's a lot of money, okay, especially at the beginning. All right. The red square thing is actually a puzzle, which again, I'll show you later what it is exactly. And finally, the bottom line is the money we have. So the blue is the thousands and the yellow coins are the hundreds. I'm not sure how much we have here, but not a lot. At the top of the game, it says options, controls, and days left. So the days left, this is your time limit. If it runs out, then, you lose the game. And yeah, so we're gonna move into the castle first off to get some troops. So to play the game, you play the arrows on the keyboard. So I'm gonna press up, I'm gonna go into the castle. Now, you can have an audience with the king, but it's pretty useless, because basically he's gonna tell you that, you need to catch more bad guys. So right now we have 0, obviously. So yeah, you need to do that actually kind of as quickly as possible, because with the rank promotion, you get access to much more troops, and that you need. Numbers win battles here. We're gonna recruit soldiers. We're gonna go for like all of them. So militia 30, archers 8, pikemen 10. So we have only 1,000 gold left. To get out of the castle, you push escape, basically. And now we're going to go down into the city, which is this stadium-looking weird thing. You can actually move like diagonally, and you do that by using the home, page up, and page down keys on the keyboard. So obviously you have to play around with them to figure out which is which, but it's pretty self-explanatory. Let's go into the town, and right away you can push A here to get a new contract. And, it's going to give you a description of the bad guy. We don't know where he is, though. He's somewhere on the first continent. There's actually 4 continents in the map, in the world here. And, of course, they each get more complicated. But the first one is pretty easy. This guy, for example, mostly has peasants in his army, so it's not a huge worry, but still. You can rent a boat, which is actually really necessary, but it costs 500 a week. You have to remember that you have to pay for your army upkeep and also the boat upkeep. You need to build up your income. I'll show you where to do that in a moment. You can gather information, but this is very useful in a town close to another castle, because they will tell you, okay, for example, like it's just owned by random monsters, which you don't need to occupy. Or it's occupied by one of the bad guys. So that you need to know, because then you know, he's there. Finally, you can buy siege weapons, and siege here is misspelled, by the way. But anyway, it costs 3,000. I don't even have that amount right now, so I can't do anything. So I left the town. Again, you click escape to do that. We're going to go explore a little bit. From time to time, you will find gold lying around in chests. So you can take it, or you increase leadership by 8. Now remember, increasing leadership is great because it allows you to hire more soldiers, but at the same time you need the money because you need to pay upkeep, and if you rent a boat you need to pay for that as well. My rule here is that usually with very small amounts, like leadership increasing by 8, that's not a lot. You can probably safely take the gold, which I'm going to do right now. So I'm going to move around here. By the way, if you press M on the keyboard, it's going to show you the map. So right now, as you can see, we're just in the corner of the map. There's a lot of castles here, etc. Usually the way it works here is that if you go to the left of the castle, usually it leads to a creature, dwelling. So I think the dwelling itself changes depending on each game you start, so it's going to be a different one. However, it's always going to be there. Let's find out if that's really the case. Okay, so I'm just going to go up here, and there's an enemy here already. Usually it gives you the scout estimate. So for example, a few ogres, a few orcs, a few zombies. So you know that it's really not many. You can probably take that on. And then you go into the battle mode. So this is what it looks like. And you can see here that militia, for example, it says M2 at the top. That means that it can move 2 squares. I'm going to do that because I need to get close to them as quickly as possible. Archers have move and S. So to shoot, you actually push S on the keyboard, and it goes into this kind of target mode. I'm going to shoot their orcs. There's an important note here about the firing. I think that the way that the terrain works actually matters. So, for example, if you have a mountain or a forest in between your target, I think it works less. So be careful how you use that. I think there are some units that bypass this. I probably think about the elves. But the regular archers, though, yeah, they're not very good. To confirm, you push enter. So you can see we killed one of them, and we're going to move the pikemen as well. So now the enemy going to move. The ogres are pretty powerful, so I hope I can knock them out pretty quickly. Let's use the militia. Keep shooting the archers. Pikemen attack the zombies, I guess. So you can see that the ogres still haven't lost a single one. I already lost 5 militia members. Let's kill the archers. Okay, so they have 1 ogre left. And that's it. So every time you win the battle, those battles, you actually get money. So, but remember, sometimes you obviously gonna waste troops on that, okay? So the point is that you don't lose troops on these random battles. So you don't need to fight all of them, but just remember that if you do fight them, you're gonna get money, and you need money. Right now, for example, it doubled my income in just one battle. So let's continue north here. I'm just gonna go down first because I know what's here. I'm gonna take the money, and there we have a cave, so you can get orcs, but yeah, my money is pretty tight right now, so I don't know. Let's get them anyway. So again, you exit using the escape key. If you press A on the keyboard, it's gonna go into this army mode, so you can see your army, and you'll notice that they have a morale. So the morale, for example, is low for the militia, but everybody else is normal. Usually the morale drops when you start mixing troops. I think here the pink ones are basically like human faction, and then the blue one is kind of creatures like orcs, ogres, etc. And then you get a green one, which is kind of magical creatures like elves and maybe trolls, I guess. You also get a red faction, which I'm not sure like how to describe it, but yeah, the more you mix them up, I think the more complicated it becomes to keep morale high. The only exception, I guess, is maybe the barbarian. I think he is more apt at raising the morale for all troops. I'm not really sure though. So usually, yeah, that's what I was saying. Like within this area, okay, there is a dwelling for creatures. We already found one. There might be another one. So let's go higher. We have to fight, unfortunately, again. So yeah, let's do that. Kill their archers in one move. That's always nice. Although two of them would not cause a lot of damage anyway. If you press W on the keyboard, it's going to wait. So it means that you pass it and it comes back later. So I'm going to shoot their gnomes. I'm going to attack their gnomes. I get the zombies at the back. And now I can use the militia. Okay. So from time to time, you'll also encounter these guys. They want to, like, some random orcs just walking around. Sometimes creatures want to join you. Now, be very careful with that because it depends on your leadership score. Remember that I just hired orcs in that cave, right? I hired the maximum capacity I could. I'm allowed at the moment. So if I let these guys join, I'm going to lose control of the unit, okay? And so they're going to actually fight against me, which I really don't want. So I'm going to click no. It's sad, but that's the way it works, unfortunately. You have to make some sacrifices. So here, for example, just walking around, right? You usually find this pretty early on in the game, but it could be very random. It could be anywhere, I guess. So yeah, here you can basically learn magic, right? But like I said, it costs 5,000. Right now, I don't even have that kind of money. When you speak about magic in the game, I'm not really sure it's very useful. I think, you have spells like lightning bolt or fireball, but the damage they do is very, very small. I mean, again, maybe like on something like peasants, it's very useful. But again, you're going to be fighting much stronger armies than peasants, okay? So, and against them, it barely does it. It barely scratches them. So, I don't know. Look, if you have the money, go for it. But I'm not going to do that. If you push V on the keyboard, you're gonna get this kind of overview screen. So, it's gonna tell you leadership you have. Right now, I didn't increase it at all, so it's still stuck at 100. Commission per week, this is the money you get per week. So depending on the chest, some chests you get actually increase it, but I haven't found any yet. I have about 5,000 gold right now. My spell power is 1, but I don't have the spell enabled anyway. The villains caught, okay, so the bad guys, right? We haven't caught any of them yet, so that's 0. Artifacts found, again, 0. When I find one, I will stop and I will explain what it does. Right now, I didn't find any yet. Castle's garrison is 0. Again, I don't think that actually matters, but I could be wrong. Followers killed, that just means how many of your own troops you lost so far. And the current score is, well, again, if you're going for some kind of high score, go ahead, be my guest. But honestly, doesn't matter at all. You just want to beat the game. Okay, so at the top, you can see that, my days left, I spent 2 days walking around just north of the castle, which doesn't sound like a lot, but remember that every day counts, okay? So, yeah, that's the problem with this game, is that time limit. If it didn't have any time limits, it would be so much easier, obviously. But we have some extra money, so we can rent a boat. So the way you do that, you go into the town, you push B here to rent a boat, and that's it. Now when you exit, you're gonna see the boat on the map. To get into it is very simple. You just basically walk south, in this case, and that's it. You're on the boat. So let's go explore the map. And the way you do that is well, okay, there are many different ways you can go about it. I'm not sure if there is a correct way, but in a nutshell, from what I hear, to explore, like, basically it's easier to go on the outskirts first. So you go all around the map, okay? You follow the edge of the continent, I guess. And there you're going to find some chests, you're going to find some creatures that want to join you, maybe. So it's not a waste of time to do that. Now, of course, if you're just going straight for the bad guys from the beginning, then yeah, you probably shouldn't go around. But the thing is, like, you don't know where they are. So anyway, you need to explore most of the map. This map also has a desert. I'll show you later when I get there. And the desert is super annoying because it consumes a day per square. Okay, so right now, for example, we walked all over there north of the castle and we consumed 2 days. But in the desert, every single step you take is consuming 1 day, okay? So there's a trick there, and I learned it quite recently, actually. So maybe that's the way to beat the game in the future. There are certain creatures you can get, which are flying creatures. For example, vampires and sprites and like demons, and they can fly. If you push F on the keyboard on the map, it goes into flying mode, and this allows you to basically fly over the desert very quickly, and that way you bypass that huge penalty you get by moving through the sand. So that's perhaps one way strategy to beat it in the future. Anyway, right now, let's just explore. Let's see what we have on the boat. So I see some guys standing around, some skeletons. They want to join. Okay, fine, I'll take them. So I'm just going to go north, and as you can see here on the coast, right, you're going to find these random treasure chests lying around, which is good because you need gold or leadership. Sometimes you're going to get spells. Right now, for example, it's a spell. But again, I don't have magic enabled, so it's not really helpful. There are guys standing around on the coast, but we don't need to fight like each and single unit right now. So if you just push N, it's going to bounce you back to the boat. Okay, let's explore, and if I find some interesting stuff, I'm going to stop and comment. So from time to time, you'll find these chests as well. I just want to kind of pause here. So these increase your maximum spell capacity by 1, okay? So you also need that, but again, I don't have spells enabled, so for me, it's not really useful at this point. But in the future, if I do use spells, then yeah, this is useful. So I don't know if you saw that in this battle, by the way. This is very bad situation for me right now. I think I lost here. Basically what happened again is that when you hire ghosts, right? Every time they actually get kills, it bolsters their number, and then you end up in the same situation again. So basically, yeah, your leadership is too low to contain that, and so they lose control within that same battle, and then they start fighting you. So I think right now I have absolutely no chance of winning because they're basically gonna like keep multiplying with more the more damage they make. So for example, right now, if they get my pikemen, which they will, they should increase in number. See, yeah. So right now they have 22. There is no way I can win here. There is nothing to do, unfortunately. So this you have to be very careful. As far as I know, this is the only unit that does that. But as you can see, it's really annoying. I mean, I was kind of excited actually to see them, but it's not the best. It's not a good way to play. I don't know. Maybe at some point in the future, when you are strong and you have a lot of leadership, ghosts are good, and they are strong. They are very strong. But yeah, they have this ability to gain in numbers automatically, and that way you can lose. So I'm not sure how we can escape here. I don't know. I guess you press G. And then you push yes. Okay. So yeah. So now if I push on A, right? Yeah, like it said, so I have perfect all my army. It just gives me 20 peasants. It's like, yeah, thanks. Can't do anything with that really. So yeah, there you go. First attempt. In just not even 20 days have passed in the game. I already lost. And again, just because of this one mistake, that's very sad. So anyway, it's actually kind of good that we encountered the situation, because it's easy to always just win and go home, but it's not always the case. And now I showed you actually in life, in real time, a defeat. Okay, so now we know what happens. I'm not gonna try again today. I'm gonna try again in the future. But yeah, anyway, look, this is a pretty complicated game. Like I said, I never beat it. Okay, obviously today we encountered a kind of very extreme case of that, to lose without even 15 days having passed, which is, well, embarrassing, really. But the basics of it are the same. So I'm gonna try again in over the next few days, and we're gonna see what happens. Okay. So until then, stay tuned, and I'll see you next time. Otaku Ops signing off.